Hello Liz here, welcome to this video on completing an Energy Diamond Social Vitamins Questionnaire.
Hi Jess, we can start.
Okay, well the first thing to do is go to the Social Vitamins website, which is socialvitamins.co.uk, and just log on there with your email address. And we've got a test email address, of course, which we're using here for you. And we're just going to
Okay.
log on with your password and begin the process. Okay, as soon as you log on, you'll see that there's a link here to fill in a new questionnaire profile. So just click on that link and it'll take you to an introductory guide to the questionnaire. Now, if you've not actually completed the questionnaire before, this is a good thing to go through and read. However, it's probably better reviewing the video, the introductory video, which explains everything about social vitamins, the resonance engine and the experiments, as well as the work that Energy Diamond does. That covers things much more simply. So hopefully you would have got to this point and already watched that video, and at this point you've got an option. You can either at first go and use a questionnaire which is fully explained,
Mm-hmm.
and as you go through each question you can see that there's a long explanation of what's trying to be asked, and then the main question is what you've got to answer, and you've got to put a score in there of something from 0 to 10, and when you've sure that's what your answer is, you can tab and look at the next question and actually process that. So that's the fully explained questionnaire. Now, if you've been doing it for a while, then what you can do is, instead of going to the fully explained questionnaire, if we go back to the instructions, we can actually see that there's a quick questionnaire. If you know what the questions are asking you after you've done it maybe half a dozen times, you might not want to be looking at all the explanations. You might just want to look at the main question and be reminded of what it is that you're being asked and put in the answer, and then move on to the next question. So is that easy to understand, that you use the fully explained questionnaire to begin with, and once you've got used to it you can go on to the quick questionnaire?
Yeah, it is clear. And now we can start with fully explained questionnaire.
Okay, let's come out of this and get rid of the errors here, the display messages, and then what we'll do is go to the fully explained questionnaire, which is here. Okay, if you remember from the introductory video, we said that the questionnaire asks about 5 key areas in your life. It asks about what's important to you in terms of your values and your motivation, and what's important in terms of your basic energy with which you move through life, and that's what we call life energy. So things to do with those areas are covered here in this set of questions. The 5 areas that the introductory video covered, that we explored to look at what you're really resonant with and how we match you with other people, they're all questions that you'll find about here in this questionnaire. The first section, as I said, is to do with your life energy. Then it's the physical security, to do with your well-being, your welfare and your wealth. Then there's a question about your emotions and how you are with yourself as well as with other people. Then it asks you about how you think, your intellect, and how you are with helping other people to think. And lastly, it looks at your purpose, your meaning in your life, and things that you do to make a creative contribution either to yourself or to the world. This is often where spirituality and a sense of purpose or mission is also discussed. So those are the 5 areas. Now once you've completed the 5 areas, then you're asked to give your profile a name,
Mm-hmm.
and then answer a little security question. And when you push the process profile button, that's it. That's the end of the questionnaire. Is that pretty straightforward in terms of what we're going to cover in this questionnaire?
Yeah, so far it's it's clear.
Okay. Well, when you actually complete the questionnaire, it's important to understand why the question has been asked the way it has. If you recall from the introductory video, every question has got 3 parts to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
asking you something about who you're learning with, which in this case, right at the beginning, it's asking about you. In the next set of questions, you can see it's asking about how you are with other people, how you are helping other people. Another part of the question is it asks you about what it is that you're learning. So in this section we're learning about your energy, but of course the other sections, what they focus on is your security, your emotions, your intellect, and so on. So another part of the question is what you're actually learning. A third part of the question is how you're actually learning. So you can see each of these questions, that the only difference between them really is focused on how you're learning. The very first question is always about you tuning into things, because learning consists of those three stages, if you remember from the introductory video. The first stage of learning is always you tuning into things and watching things, observing things. The second stage is actually you putting them into practice, embedding them and embodying them. And the last stage is about how you actually go beyond what you've been doing and look to do something new, maybe because what you've been doing doesn't work anymore and it's time for you to expand and evolve what you're doing. It's focused on how you build and develop what you're doing for yourself. So every question has got that structure. It's got a bit which relates to who the learning's actually relating to, or the question's relating to. It's got a subject area, which is what you're actually focused on. And lastly, it's asking a question about your emotional intelligence in terms of at what level of your learning are you, and how good are you at that level. And it's to do with experiencing things, it's to do with practicing things, and it's to do with innovating things. So those three questions are always going to be the first three kinds of questions at the beginning of every section. And the next three questions are always about the same things but with other people. They ask you how good are you experiencing things, helping other people to experience things. How good are you helping other people to put things into practice? How good are you helping other people to build and develop what they're actually doing for themselves? So that's what you'll find is the same structure for every section, whether it's security, emotion, or intellect. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear. So all three layers are included in each question.
That's right, yeah.
Aren't they?
And the three questions are repeated for you and also for other people. Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's clear.
great. Okay, now each question you'll see before the main question, which is highlighted in bold, you'll see it has a whole bunch of questions just before it. Now, those questions are priming questions. They're really designed to get your mind in the right place, in readiness to answer the main question. They're not meant to be answered, these questions. They're meant to just get your mind to explore and reflect on what they're actually asking. By reflecting on all these different questions, your mind kind of gets to the right place where it needs to be in terms of its perspective in order to answer the main question. So it's important not to try and answer these questions, but just try and consider them. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So it acts like these questions kind of act like a homing beacon, getting your mind to home into the right place from which you've got to answer the main question. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, sometimes you'll find that some of the questions relate to apparently very different things. Okay, so for example, in the physical security section, it might ask you about your well-being, your health, for example, but it also might ask you about your work and your money and your income. And these, to most people, they look like very different things. All right. But as far as this questionnaire is concerned, in terms of your energy and what drives you, they're both things that are important to your physical survival. Okay, so that without them, without having health, without having income or resources, you wouldn't be able to physically survive. So it's important to understand that beneath the apparent separation of these things, there is actually a connection. Okay, and in situations where you're not quite sure what your answers are, for example, you might give your well-being a score of 5, but your work a score of 7. And in those situations where you're trying to answer a question, and one question makes you answer a 5, another part of the questionnaire it asks you maybe you answer 7. It's best to try and go for a score in between.
Okay, some average score.
Yeah, that's right. So between 5 and 7, obviously, the middle score is 6. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Always go for the lowest possible score. It's important to do that just to make sure that you're not exaggerating things, and it also
Okay.
ensures that you're exercising some humility with regards to how you're answering the questions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So having said that, let's go through each of the questions and answer them and see how you do. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, the very first section is all about your energy. As you can see, it describes the kind of activities this is going to ask you about. It's about your vitality, it's about you being authentic, and it's about your values and principles and how you align to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also about doing things that make you feel alive. It might be just going for a walk or doing relaxing or doing a meditation. Anything which grounds your energy and gets you really centered within yourself and makes you feel a bit more vibrant, a bit more vitalized. These are the things that are to do with this section, life energy. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you see some examples of that underneath. It says build motivation. It's about your will and your drive. It's about having fun and relaxing, and spending some time just recharging and recuperating if you've been busy and you're a bit exhausted. It's about relaxing and restoring yourself. And the
Mm-hmm.
kind of things that typically people do to help them relax and recover their energy might be things like yoga or tai chi or qigong. They might go for a walk. They might go to relax by watching a film at the movie or go to the theatre. They might even watch TV. And it's not necessarily to numb out, it's just to chill, just to
Mm-hmm.
relax. That's really what they're doing it for. But it's also about being true to your own values and your principles, about being authentic. Okay? So it's all really about settling your energy to your centre and who you truly are. That's really what it's fundamentally about. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's have a look at the first question, and this section really looks at how good are you helping yourself connect into your energy and manage it, and develop it so that you have more vitality for what you do, and generally have more energy for what you do. Okay. So that's what
Okay.
these next three questions are about. How you manage your own energy. Okay. So let's look at the first question. First question saying, um, really about how you tune into your energy, how you tune into your values, how you tune into where you're centered in your life. So this is about how you go about experiencing things, how you currently know things, how you come to observe and watch things. How good of a witness are you
Mm-hmm.
to your own energy? How good are you at tuning into your own energy, your own center, your own values, those kinds of things? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at some of the questions, they say, do you know what values you live by that keep you grounded and keep you centered? So it also asks, do you know what code you live your life by, what principles you live your life by? All of these are just designed to get you to home in to where you really drive your life from. What's the center that your values that you drive your life from? It also asks, because it's about your energy and bringing it to a single place within yourself, about gathering your energy and settling your energy. The next question is asking, how good are you at allowing yourself to relax? That's about
Mm-hmm.
settling your energy as well. But it also looks at if you've been working hard for some time or you've been going through a difficult time, do you know how good you are at getting yourself settled and restoring your energy after you've been working hard or going through a difficult time?
Mm.
And lastly, it asks, how good are you at sensing when it's time to have fun and actually engage in activities that are fun? So most of these questions are asking you to just go to the place within yourself where you get a measure, where you get a sense of where your energy is at. It's about asking you to tune. How good are you at tuning in to what energy levels you have, and how good are you
Mm-hmm.
at tuning in to knowing what values you drive your life by? Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's clear.
All right. So that's summarised by the main question, which is in bold, where it says, "How good are you engaging and sensing your own energy levels?" Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a summary, if you like, of all the questions. Hopefully, by the time you've gone through all these questions, your mind has considered lots of things, and you should be left with a kind of a net feeling of where you're at with you tuning into your energy and tuning into your values. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just connect into that feeling that you've got left over after considering those questions, and just ask yourself, on a scale of 0 to 10, how good are you at meeting that need? How good are you meeting the need of being able to tune into your own values, centering yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
getting a sense of your own energy on a scale of 0 to 10? Where would you put yourself?
Maybe 6.
Okay, so we're going to put a 6 there. Now we're going to jump to the next question, and we do that by pressing the tab on the keyboard, and that takes us to the next box. And you can see the next question now is asking you to look at things a bit further down the line in terms of your learning. Once you've watched things and you observed things, the next thing you probably end up doing is you'll start to do things, practice things with regards to what it is that you've been observing and watching. Usually when you've been checking out life or tuning into your energies, you want to do something with your energies afterwards. You want to practice doing something with your energies. You want to maybe even manage your energies and harness them a little bit. Maybe your values are not quite what you were looking for, and you need to do something about maybe putting them into practice. So this question is all about that. It's asking, all right, from what you've observed, what you see about your energies, how good are you actually doing something about them? For example, you can see from the very first question, if you know it's time to relax,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how good are you actually keeping things that way? If you're already kind of relaxing, how good are you actually going ahead and making time for yourself to relax and get rid of any distractions? And lastly, it's asking you, you may have some values, but are you actually living by them?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's one thing
Okay,
knowing
so
things.
this is lower score, so it's about 4.
Okay, let's put a 4 down then. All right, and the last question in this section is asking about, what do you do when you know it's time to change? If you're finding your values are out of date, or you find that the way that you're working with your energy isn't shifting your energy anymore, do you know when it's time to go and do something new and find something that will move you on from what you've been doing and do something innovative or novel? So this is the point where you usually look at what you've been doing and you find it used to work, but it doesn't work anymore, and now you
Mm-hmm.
need to do something different. Okay.
Okay, so I would put 5.
Okay. So let's put that in. Right. So those are the 3 questions relating to you. Now we're going to ask the same questions again, but this time we're going to ask about how good you are at helping other people in those areas. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so let's
Okay.
go into the next question. And you can see in the interpersonal section, this one's about how good are you at helping other people connect, manage, and develop themselves with regards to their vitality and energy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the first question, the same question you ask yourself about tuning into your own energy and observing and watching it and your own values. But this time it's asking you, how good are you helping other people to tune into their energy, their values, helping them to get a sense of whether they need to relax or whether they need to be a bit more authentic or a bit more centered. Okay, so look at your relationships in your life, maybe in your family or people that you work with, and generally look across that and see, what scale on 0 to 10 would you put yourself in terms of helping other people to tune into what's happening for them and their energy and their values and how authentic they are.
Oh, I think 7.
7. Okay, great. The next question is, all right, you're good at helping them tune into their values and tune into when they need to have some fun and so on, but how good are you helping them to make sure that they follow through and actually do it?
Maybe also 7 or 6. I'm not sure about if I allow them to have fun or relax or what. I
It,
don't know what
it's
is
about how
this
you
about.
It's about how you help them to help themselves. Okay, it's
How
not
I
about you. It's not
help
about
them
you.
to help.
Yeah, it's not
Mhm.
about you rescuing them or doing it for them. Right?
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
about how good are you helping them to see that they need to do something, and follow through and actually take some action.
Okay, let's say 6.
Okay, let's put 6. By the way, if you're not quite sure what score you want to put in, whether it's a 6 or a 7, for example, whatever came up first for you, that's the lowest score, typically. That's what you need to put in. All right.
So lowest score.
Yeah, the lowest score of what you picked is usually what you need to put in. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next question, which is asking about other people's energies. And this time we're asking you, how can you help them move on and do new things? For example, if they've been doing things to relax and those things that they're doing are not working, they're still tense or suffering from stress, or they're trying to do things to be authentic and stay true to their values, and whatever they're doing, whatever they're practicing or trying to harness, it just isn't working out, then obviously it's time that they tried something different, tried something new, in order to move past the things that are no longer working. So how good are you helping people discover new things for them to do that move them on from the stuff that they're practicing or doing that's not working anymore?
6.
Okay, 6. All right. That's it. Now that's the first section finished. All the other sections have a very similar structure. There's 3 questions about you, and there's 3 questions about how you are with other people in that section. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we should be able to move through them a bit quicker now. All right. So the physical security section is about what we call the 3 wells. All right. It's about your well-being. It's about your welfare. Okay, and it's also about your wealth. Okay, that's what we call the 3 wells. Okay. Now your well-being is about your health, your physical health, all right, and how you feed yourself, and basically how you look after your body. That's really what it's about, all right. Your welfare is how you keep yourself safe. Okay, it's about having a home to live in. It's about being warm. It's about being safe, protective, and it's about ensuring that you are able to survive in a really basic kind of way. Okay.
Okay.
And the last bit is wealth. Wealth is often to do with work as well, but not everybody works. And there's a lot of people who don't work but still have money. So it's very much really about your income. It's about your resources. But for most people, it is about work, because that's usually where they get their money, they get their resources to survive from. Yeah. Okay. So physical security is literally about that. It's your security of the physical part of your life, to do with your physical body, to do with your physical home, and to do with the physical resources or assets that you need in order to keep your home and keep your physical well-being going. Okay, so it's real basic survival stuff. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so let's have a look at that, and you'll see that fundamentally it's about your health, it's about your finances, and your quality of life. Okay, right. Now, typically that relates to money, it relates to health, it relates to sex, it relates to your home. In terms of a company, it can relate to your business's actual building, your company site. Okay, it also relates to your physical possessions, things that you own. So anything that's physical that belongs to you. It relates to the food that you eat, and what kind of diet that you're on. It relates to how you look after your body and whether you exercise it. It also relates to physical skills, like if you can play, if you can do something like physical, like swim or run. Not necessarily something creative, but something that you can just do with your body. All right. So it doesn't necessarily relate to dancing, for example, or art or things like that. It just relates to being able to do some basic things with your body. All right. So things like walking, things like running, things like being able to lift things, for example. Yeah. And lastly, it relates, as I said, to your protection also, how safe you keep yourself. And that includes things like self-defense, being able to protect yourself against things that might, hurt you or harm you. So all of this is, you can see it's generally about how you survive in life. It's to do with your physical health, your physical home and possessions, and it's to do with your physical assets, which include things like your money and your work, which provide those things. All right. So that's what this section's about. Okay. Now, if we look at the very first set of questions, which are about you, you can see the very first one is, about how you again tune into and observe and are able to get a sense of your current physical security. So, how good are you at knowing, for example, when you're not well or when you're healthy? How good are you at knowing when you're home? What's happening with your home, what's happening at work, and it's just about tuning in. Are you aware of what's going on? That's really what this question is asking about. How aware are you of what's going on with your health, with your home, and your physical income that you get through the work that you do, for example. So this question's about your awareness around your survival. How aware are you of how well you're surviving at the moment? So on a scale of 0 to 10, what would you give yourself?
7.
7. Okay. The next question is, okay, that's how aware you are, but how good are you at doing things about what you're seeing? For example, if you're ill, are you good at being able to go and get medicines or heal yourself or get help that you need to recover? If, for example, something's happening to your home, are you good at making sure that your bills are paid and your house isn't falling apart and there's heating and the things that are running and they're not just you're not just sitting there cold knowing that stuff is going on but not doing anything about it? And lastly, it's asking you how good are you at doing things practically at work. If you know you need to do some work, do you actually go ahead and do it, or do you just watch it and wait till it gets really bad before you do something? Okay, so this is really about you following through on what you're seeing, what you're observing, what you're aware of. You know something needs to be done around your health and your home and your finances or work. How good are you at going beyond just recognizing and actually following through and doing something about it?
Also 6.
6. Okay. Now, there might come a time where you've been doing things with your health to try and maintain it, but for some reason you keep getting ill, or you're finding that you're trying to manage your home and the things that you used to do don't seem to be as effective, and your home might be falling apart for one reason. Maybe you're not eating right anymore. What you used to eat was good for you once, but maybe something's happened now and it's not good for you to eat certain foods. And lastly, maybe your work isn't satisfying in one area and you need to try something different because what you've been doing just isn't producing any results. So this question is really asking, how good are you at recognizing when things aren't working and you are able to go, right, I need to go and find something new. But it's not just about recognizing that you need something new. It's really asking, can you do it? Can you go off and find something which improves what you're doing and does things in a better way? So that's really what this question's about. How good are you doing something new and coming up with something innovative in terms of moving on from what you were doing that isn't working anymore?
6.
6. Okay. Right. So the same questions now, but this time we're going to ask about well-being, welfare, and wealth. But how good are you at helping other people with those things? Okay. All right. So the first question again is about how you help other people to tune in to those things. How you get them to experience things and get a sense of what's going on and get a knowledge around what's going on for their well-being and their welfare and their wealth. So that's what this first question's about. For example, it asks you, how good are you helping other people get knowledge of their own health? How good are you at helping them to follow through, maybe do some exercise or follow a diet? How good are you helping them, work with their finances practically and manage their money, for example? And lastly, how good are you at helping people across those areas. If you've got different scores for each of those areas, like for money and for health and also for your home, you've got to try and find out what the middle score is from the lowest score to the highest. So, for example, if you gave yourself 5 for well-being and you gave yourself a 6 for your work, and maybe an 8 for your welfare, then between 5 and 8, the middle score, if you like, is probably it's about 6.5. But we want to take the lowest whole number score, and that's what we want to stick in. So in that situation, we'd stick in the 6. But have a look at your own life. You know, you've been scoring 7s and 6s so far. How good do you think you are at helping other people get tuned in to how they need to survive for themselves?
So 7.
7, okay. All right, so you give yourself a 7 in terms of helping other people to tune in to what they need to do, or how they're currently surviving. How good are you helping them to then go and act on the things where there's action needed, and following through on what they're actually seeing and observing? So you can certainly tell someone they need to improve their health, but how good are you actually helping them to go ahead and do it? How capable are you in helping them to, for example, become more skilled in staying healthy and not just knowing what is healthy? Can you also help people with their money and assets and show them how to manage it well? So it's not just giving them advice, it's actually giving them a helping hand, and maybe walking them through the process so they can eventually do it for themselves. Alright, so how good are you at helping people directly to follow through what they've seen going on in their lives and doing something about it in terms of their survival, their well-being, their welfare, and their wealth?
6.
6, okay. And lastly, if they've been trying to make money and it just isn't generating what they were looking for, or perhaps the work they're doing just isn't satisfying them anymore, even though they might be earning quite a bit of money. Maybe they've been doing an exercise regime or going on a diet and they lost a few pounds, but they don't seem to be losing any more. And maybe they've been trying to improve their home, and for one reason or another, what they've been trying to improve their home just isn't working at all. Then it's going to be time to try something new that they've not tried before. Maybe what they're doing used to work, but it doesn't work anymore, and now it's time to look to find something different, something innovative, something new, which will ensure that they are able to continue to improve their health, or be able to sustain it, continue to look after their home, and also continue to provide themselves with money, but perhaps at a higher level, or a higher level of contentment in terms of what they're doing, in terms of their job. So this question is really asking you, how good are you helping people to move on from whatever they're doing with their health, their home, or their work, and help them to move to a better place? And again, it's not about you doing it for them, it's about you helping them to do it for themselves, find something new for themselves that they can do to improve their health, their home, or their work. So if you look over your experience and how often you've helped people to improve how they feel about themselves physically, or their home, or their job, if you look back on each of the occasions that you've done that, on a scale of 0 to 10, how good do you think you were in helping them to do that?
6.
6, okay, great. Right, the next section is about feelings and emotions and relationships, and you can see fundamentally it's about emotional bonding. It's about emotional bonding with you, with yourself, all right, how you feel towards yourself, but also what kind of a bond do you have with other people in terms of your relationships, okay? Now, relationships here, I mean emotional relationships, not people that you have a kind of mental resonance or intellectual resonance with because you like the way they think. It's more about how you feel about them. Okay. All
Okay.
right. And you can see this typically relates to your personal relationships, people in your family. That means your mother and father and so on, and brothers and sisters. It relates to a personal relationship you might be in, like a girlfriend or boyfriend. Of course, it relates to marriage as well. It relates to people that you encounter in social situations, like your friends.
Mm-hmm.
But it also relates to you trying to do something to improve your community and, make relationships between people in your community better. Because it's about this kind of relationship. It often comes up in healing and counselling as well, because of course counselling is about improving your relationship to yourself or the people around you. It brings up things around empathy and sympathy. How good are you at working with empathy and sympathy for yourself and with other people? In the company, in a business, the relationships that a business has, that's what it relates to. And the relationships are to do with employees, or they might be relationships to do with the public. So in that situation, you're talking about recruitment, HR, and you're talking about PR. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so these questions can be asked as if you're asking about a company, rather than an individual, a person. But that's best done through another questionnaire that we've got specifically, which uses language more suited for companies rather than a person. Okay, but some people have actually used this questionnaire to fill it out as if they're trying to get a profile of their company and see if they can match their company up with people, or they can get their company even matched up to other companies to see if they might be, possibly developing partnerships or joint ventures. Okay, so it can be used for that purpose too. Right, so if we look at the very first question, it gives you a highlight there. It says it's really about how good are you helping yourself connect, manage and develop your own emotions and your own feelings. Okay, that's what this is about, this first section. So the first question is really asking you how good are you tuning into your own feelings. Do you know when they come up? Are you able to spot them? How aware are you of them when they're moving through you? And the fundamental question there is really how good are you just getting present to your own feelings without trying to figure them out or anything, just being aware that they're there and watching them and just being a witness to them. Okay. It also asks how effective are you at letting those emotions come through without you trying to interfere them, or your head trying to get in the way to try and understand them. Okay, so this is literally just about getting present to them without trying to analyze them or interfere with them. Okay, and the last question highlights that. It says, what experience do you have of knowing your feelings, where they're coming from, for example, and just perhaps rely on your intuition and your memories without trying to be logical about where did that feeling come from, does that link to this feeling, for example, or projecting into what they might mean. So if you look over your history and how often you plugged into your feelings, how often, if you look back, how easy or hard do you think it was for you to get in touch with your own feelings?
7.
7, okay. Now you might have found feelings that you want to change. For example, if you're feeling angry, you might want to calm yourself down, or if you were too calm and you needed to be a bit more assertive in what you were saying to people, or even with yourself, for example. Do you know when it's time to do that, and how good are you at actually going ahead and doing it? For example, if you're angry, you may want to calm down, but you might not be able to. All right, you may
So
be
5.
Yeah, okay, 5. All right. The last question is, if you find that certain feelings are not working, and maybe you need to start, working with some different feelings, how good are you moving on? So this question is really, I should have actually, let's change that around, because the previous question I was asking about how good you were at actually keeping, that should really be asking about how good you are at keeping feelings going, rather than trying to change them. Okay, so that's an example would be if something is making you angry and it's important for you to keep calm, and that's where you're at the moment. How good are you at staying calm? And in the instance where someone's trying to put you down and undermine you, and trying to get you to shut up, and you are trying to be assertive, how good are you at staying assertive? So it's not about changing your feelings, but it's asking really how good are you at knowing when you've got a feeling that's appropriate and it works. How good are you at holding on to it? How good are you at staying with it?
Okay, but leave 5.
You leave
the
5
same.
there.
Yes.
Okay, so actually the question you just asked earlier, that there's going to be 5 here as well. That's what that relates to. You answered it earlier. Okay. So this question's asking you if a feeling isn't working for you, how good are you at moving on, like from being angry to being calm, or from being quiet to being assertive? And you answered that earlier already, so that's 5. So we'll put that down. Okay, so the next 3 are about how good are you helping other people with their feelings. All right. So the first question is about how good are you helping them to tune into their feelings, their emotions. How good are you helping them just get in touch and experience them without trying to analyse them or interfere with them or trying to change them, for example. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how good are you helping other people just watch, be a witness, tune in to their own feelings without trying to interfere with them or analyse them? 7. Okay. How good are you keeping their feelings going? So, for example, if they've been going through a rough time, how good are you helping them, for example, to stay on top of things? Not necessarily do anything new, but just keep an even keel with regards to their emotions, staying happy or staying assertive or staying calm, whatever it is that they're currently doing. How good are you helping them keep that up?
6.
6. Okay. And lastly, when it is time for them to feel something different or behave differently with regards to their feelings, how good are you helping them move on from where they were to where they really need to be? For example, if they were angry and they need to become calm, or they're too calm and they need to be a bit more assertive, how good are you helping them make that shift?
6.
6. Okay, great. We've only got 2 more sections to go. I think you probably got the flow of the questions now. That the first set are always about you, the second set are always about how you are with other people in the same way, and the very first question is all about tuning into things. The second question is all about how do you follow through and practice and do things and act on what you've seen, and the third question is all about when you've been doing that for a while and it gets to a point where things are not working anymore and you need to evolve a little bit from where you've been, then how good are you at perhaps building and developing on what you've done and doing something innovative or expanding beyond what you've been doing. So that's the order of the questions, and then of course you do the same in terms of asking how good you are at helping other people in the same ways. Yeah. So we should be able to move through things a bit quicker now. So let's do that. Intellect is all about your mind and how you think. And that includes logical thinking, intuitive thinking, as well as critical or lateral thinking, thinking outside the box, if you like, and thinking tangentially, as they say in the West. All right, so you can see that the fundamental areas that covers is all those things. But it's also about reflection. How good are you at just reviewing things? How good are you at centering your mind and being focused and settling your mind through meditation, for example? You might do things which stimulate your mind through mental games, for example, or to develop your memory, and that typically shows up through study, academic study, like going to school or college. In a business, it actually relates to doing research and development inside of a business. It also relates to things, ideas that belong to the company, and that normally relates to things like intellectual property, for example. And it also relates to plans that you're making for the company, ideas to make everything work according to a particular framework or structure. So that also relates to company strategy. Okay, so those are the things relating to companies. But for yourself, let's have a look at you and look at your thinking. The first question.
7.
Okay, so I'm not having to do much explanation here, but for the purpose of the people who are watching, that relates to the very first question. It's just tuning into your own thoughts and watching them without trying to interfere them or change them. And of course, that relates to your perceptions, and also it's a kind of a measure of how much you've achieved through your studies academically and so on. It's asking you how good are you at tuning into your thoughts. Alright, so you give yourself a 7. The next part is if you have a thought, how good you know that you've got to think in a particular way. For example, you might be doing your accounts and counting your money, and you know that you've got to do it in a structured, logical way. How good are you actually following through and actually doing it that way? And in another instance, for example, you might be doing some art, and you want to just go with the flow and don't want to necessarily follow a system or anything. You just want to intuitively put paint onto a piece of paper, or make music without following any rules intuitively. So in those situations, how good are you at actually going through and carrying out the way of thinking that you told yourself that you were going to follow?
6.
6. Okay. And lastly, when you know a way of thinking isn't working and you really need to come up with some new thoughts, and come up with a new perspective or a new world view, if you like, beyond what you already know, how good are you at thinking innovatively and differently, beyond what you already know?
6.
6. Okay. Right, let's see how you are with other people. How good are you helping other people to tune into their thoughts?
I think 7.
7. And if you know that they've got to think in a particular way, alright, how good are you helping them ensure that they do? Stick to that way that they knew that they've got to do things.
No, I cannot hear you.
If you know that someone's got to think about something in a particular way, logically or intuitively, or just think about things in terms of a particular subject, with reference to something or a particular way of perceiving things, how good are you actually helping them to make sure that they actually do it that way, they actually do think about things in that way?
6.
6. Okay. And lastly, how good are you helping people move on from their current way of thinking to a new way of thinking? Maybe, for example, move from logical to intuitive, maybe move from focusing on look at things from a rational or scientific perspective to something that's a bit more simple and spiritual and meaningful. So that's what that question is really asking. How good are you helping people move on from their current way of thinking to a new way of thinking that's much more useful for them?
6.
6. Okay. Right. One last section to go, and then we're done.
Oh, great.
All right. Okay. So creativity section it's to do with the highest kinds of energy that you could work with. In the Eastern systems, it relates to spiritual things, and it relates to things where you're giving your energy out into the world and doing something meaningful and trying to make a difference in the world. So often it relates to religion as well, but it also relates to art and artistic endeavours, things like acting or painting or writing, for example. These all involve you taking something from yourself and making a difference in the outside world with it in some kind of way. You're contributing to the world, you're contributing to a shift in the way the world actually is. Alright, so that can be done through spirituality, it can be done through creativity or religion, or it might simply be about changing the meaning with which you're working with things, the meaning of your life or the meaning of your work, the mission of your work, the purpose and goals in your work, for example. So in that sense, it's about your future as well. But you can see fundamentally it's about your purpose in life, and how you apply the gifts and talents that you've actually got in a way which makes a difference in the world. Okay, so often, like I said, though, religion is something that works with people's purpose, and their contributions to the world. So that can often connect into this. But as I said, also things like art and writing, they also work on this, and your morals to some degree play a part in this. Because you're doing something beyond yourself, it also means maybe doing something for the world, not just in terms of people, but perhaps the environment, doing something with nature.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's all about stuff out there and making a difference to it in the world. All right, for a business, it's typically about their mission. It's about their brand. It's about what they stand for, and that they're trying to, take off into the future. So it's very much about, which direction are they going in terms of their future, if you like. And often, when people in a company are not happy with the image that it has out in the market, they often will want to try and change that image and say we're really about this. This is where we're going, and that's usually when rebranding happens of a company. Okay. It also literally is to do with rebranding of individuals. If you don't like who you are and where you're going with your life in terms of purpose, then you might want to change it. You might want to change the brand of person that you actually are, and and choose a different future for yourself and a different way that you want other people to relate to you. Yeah,
it's a nice expression to rebrand your personality.
Yeah, quite. So what kind of brand, literally is your personality? What brand of person are you? And maybe it's time to change that. So that's really what this section is about. All right? Okay, so let's have a look at the first one, which is about you really discovering your life purpose or goals, and perhaps being creative as well with your artistic skills. So this is really about, like I said, it's about how aware are you of what your life purpose actually is, what you're really trying to take your life towards, and you can see from some of the questions it relates to your goals. How aware of you are what your real goals are. Do you actually know what's really worth pursuing in your life that gives it meaning? And do you have any experience in empowering a difference in people beyond yourself? And there's some of the other questions are asking how good are you experiencing the sharing of your gifts with others in a way that enlightens them. And lastly, of course, it relates to how strong is your faith, your spiritual practice, and are you even doing things which possibly have an artistic streak to them? Do you know that you have an artistic streak? Do you have any skill in writing or acting or painting or design? So all of this is really about contribution to the world. How good are you at taking your gift and sharing it out in the world in a meaningful way? Yeah? All right. So just being aware of your gift and what difference it could make in the world, and whether it's to shift people's lives or maybe do some piece of art or write a book, how aware are you of what you've got inside of you in terms of your potential and where it could go?
7.
7. Okay. And what are you doing about it? How good are you at doing something about it?
Yeah. 6.
6. Okay, that's really what that section's about. It's about how good are you at following through on your goals and dreams. It's also about organising your dreams as well. It's about harnessing and managing them. Once you know what they are, how do you arrange them in a way where you can do something about it? And with regards to your beliefs and your practice about your life and where it's going, how good are you at sticking to them and honouring them, and basically following through on the things which are going to make a difference in the world. So a 6 is what you're given, is that right? Okay. There will come a time, no doubt, in your life, and if it hasn't happened already, where you're looking at your life and thinking, this isn't for me. I really need to be leading a different life. I need to be pursuing a different goal. Maybe the purpose I picked for my life, it just isn't me anymore. I've achieved it, and I now need to move on and do something different. Maybe being creative by writing a book wasn't what I was really after. Maybe I'm really more interested in painting or making movies or doing something on stage. It's really looking at your creativity, what you've got inside of you that you've been creating with your life, and how you're going to put it out there into the world, and looking and saying, is that really what I'm looking for, or is it time for me to move on? So the question's asking, when that time comes where you realise it's time to move on and do something different, how good are you actually following through and changing your life and doing it, and moving on to something different, something new.
Okay, I'm not sure because 6 or 7, but okay, let's say 6.
Yeah, let's go for the lowest score, as I said before. Okay, the last section of the whole questionnaire is about how good are you helping other people with their goals, their dreams, their future, and their creativity. So the very first question is about how you help other people. How good are you helping other people to tune in to the things that have meaning in their lives? And this is kind of very much about, for example, the work that you do is with Inner Winner in Czech Republic and Slovakia. It's very much about helping other people to tune into what has meaning for them, and where their goals in life, and their purpose in life, and making a creative difference, within themselves as well as beyond themselves to the world. So even then, though, although you were involved in that work, you might feel, I still need to get a better sense of that. So it entirely depends on what you feel your experience is so far. What do you think it is?
7.
7. Okay. Let's put that in. Alright, in terms of actually helping people to take that sense of where their life is and do something about it practically, whether it's helping them build a plan to unfold their goals, or whether it's actually helping them get the tools and begin to practice writing or painting or acting, or whether it's about helping them connect into others or the resources they need to go and make a difference beyond themselves into the world. How good do you think you are helping people with that need?
Or maybe 6.
6, okay. Very last question. And this is about helping people do something new with the purpose in their lives. So it's picking a new purpose, perhaps because the one that they've been pursuing has now been completed and they need to move on and do something new. Maybe the purpose that they had in their life, it's not making sense anymore to them, it's not making them happy, and they need to change it. They need to do something which is more aligned to who they are now, not who they were perhaps when they were younger or when they were with other people. So this question is really asking, when it comes time to change purpose, when it comes time to change goals, or change the way that you're being, they're being creative, how good are you helping them make the change and start to do something different?
6.
6, okay. Right, that's the very last question. And I'm just going to whiz through and make sure that every box has got a number in it. It looks like it has. Yep. We don't want to miss anything out, otherwise if you submit the form you'll be asked to come back and complete the areas that you didn't do. You'll notice though, as we were going through, if we missed out a box, it did come up with a little dialogue box saying you've got to fill in a number there on a scale of 0 to 10. We're just going to give your profile a name now. This is just so that you can keep track of profiles according to what was going on around the time. So let's just call this before Inner Winner. Okay, that's because your festival's coming up, the Inner Winner Festival, and we're doing this just before. The social health check is the resonance experiment that we're doing this year, so I'm going to include you in on that. Okay. A lot of people will want to be a part of that, so we use that as a check to see if they want to be part of the experiment that we're doing, where everybody's going to get matched up with other people who will be resonant with one another. So we're going to put a tick there. Just a security question. It's in this instance asking you just to put the first name in the signature here into the field below. It says it's case sensitive, so in this case it's a capital J, and I've got to put a lower case A and Z, and that's that question answered. The last thing I need to do is just get the process profiled, and then basically you're going to be done at that point. Okay. All right. Now
I'm curious about the profile.
Okay. Well, basically that's the end of what we're doing today, which is the actual questionnaire and going through the various sections of it. The next thing that we're going to look at in the next video will be looking at the results and interpreting how they actually are and where you can access them from your account and so on. But I just want to say a big thank you to you and going through the process of answering the questionnaire. And what we'll do, as I said in the next video, is have an interpretation of the results and also look at how you can use the results to get you connected in with other people who might be able to support you, who might be able to help challenge you a bit, a little perhaps, and stretch you, but also might be able to help you reflect. And in getting that support, that challenge, and that reflection, you're going to improve how you are with yourself, how you are resonant with yourself, and of course, if you're more resonant with yourself and other people are too, then it's possible you can be matched up with those people and you can feel more alive with one another and go on to make a difference with one another, and maybe even go on beyond that and make a difference to the world. Is that something you'd like to go and do?
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for your explanation, and yeah, we will and see you next time with the results.
Okay, great. The only reason why I've not pushed process profile is because we've taken a long time to go through this particular questionnaire, and I should just give a warning, which is that I think you've got about 30 minutes to complete the questionnaire. If you can't complete it in that time, then the session actually expires and you have to start again from scratch. Okay, so just a warning. And
so it's very important information.
yeah, and it's written in the instructions, but because I've spent a lot of time explaining it to you, obviously we would have gone over the 30 minutes here. But in practice, most people fill in the questionnaire within 30 minutes. So it usually doesn't ever arise, that particular issue. So that's just something to bear in mind when people do actually fill in the questionnaire. But other than that, everything should go well, and it's got some great possibilities to generate resonance within yourself and between yourself and other people once you've done it and you maintain it over a period of time. So I look forward to helping you to do that, and I'd just like to say thank you one more time. Thank you very much, Lucia.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.